Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Micah and this channel is dedicated to learning, teaching, and discussing everything about cybersecurity. So today we're in PwnedLabs and we are doing the intro to AWS IAM enumeration, and we're given the task of figuring out the potential attack path of a threat actor by enumerating the roles, policies, and permissions of the user in question. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. All right, so intro to AWS IAM enumeration. So the scenario, we are a security consultant. We have been hired following some suspicious activity, and we are tasked with enumerating the IAM user dev01 and mapping out any potentially compromised resources. So our mission is to enumerate and evaluate IAM roles, policies, and permissions. And again, learning outcomes. And we're just going to skip right down here to the AWS CLI, the command line interface. And we're going to install AWS CLI in our environment. And I have an EC2 instance ready at my disposal here. So I'm going to do yum install because app is not installed on Amazon Linux. And we're going to do yum install AWS CLI. And it's yelling at me, telling me that I need to be root. So we're going to do sudo yum install AWS CLI. And now we're going to configure the command line interface so that we're operating in the execution context of the user dev01. So we have the access key ID here. We're going to copy and paste that. We're going to do AWS configure access key, and then the secret access key. Then the default region name, I'm closest to US East 1, so I'm going to keep it this and keep that to none. All right, cool. So this command can be considered a bit like who am I, and this is the AWS STS get caller identity. So yeah, we're going to use the security token service, the get caller identity command from that service to get some more information about our user. So we can see that we're using the dev01 user. We can see the user ID, we can see the account, and then we can get more information about the user using the IAM service and the get user command. And again, we can get a bit more information: the password last used, the created date, the user ID, path, and just kind of repeat information as before. And a lot of these commands follow the same kind of syntax: is AWS, the service in this case is IAM, and then the command, and then you're specifying the resource that you're pointing the command at. So let's do the list groups. Oh, actually, this will be easier. We can do the list groups here, and we can see nothing is returned. We do the list attached user policies. And we can see two interesting policies attached to our user. We have this dev01 policy, and then we have this Amazon guard duty read-only access. So this is not too interesting. It's read-only access to guard duty, but this is kind of interesting. So we're just gonna skip down a bit, and we also see inline policies. And I guess we should stop here and just talk about policies a bit. So there are three types of policies. We have managed policies and inline policies, as well as, just two, I'm sorry. But we have AWS managed policies, and we can see an AWS managed policy is a standalone policy that's created and administered by AWS. So they're kind of prepackaged, out of the box policies that you can use in your environment, and they make it convenient for you to assign appropriate permissions to users, groups, and roles. It is faster than writing the policy yourself and including permissions for many common use cases. So AWS, they already know that there's common access requirements, use cases that their customers have, so they prepackage it in the out of the box offering for us to use. So that's pretty cool. And then we have customer managed policies. So customer managed policies are customer created or customer managed. You can change and update them as often as you like. The AWS managed policies you cannot update or change. But like AWS managed policies, when you attach a policy to a principal entity, you give the entity the permissions that are defined in the policy. And when you update the permissions in the policy, the changes are applied to all principal entities that the policy is attached to. So this is pretty much basic group permissions granting kind of things. So we see here in this example AWS account, they have a policy account admins MFA. It's attached to this group admins group, and then we have users that are attached to that group. So anyone who is in this group is given those permissions that are defined in the policy. Pretty standard stuff. And then we have inline policies, which are a one-to-one mapping between the policy and the identity. So they are deleted when you delete the identity. You can create a policy and embed it in an identity. So either when you create the identity or later. If a policy could apply to more than one entity, it's better to use a managed policy. And this will become a nightmare if you have like thousands of users and you try to do an inline policy for each and every user that you have. So that's why we have managed policies and groups and things like that. So just an overview of what we're actually talking about in this video. Anyways, let's continue. So list inline policies. So there's one inline policy associated with this user dev01, and we can see that the policy name is S3 access. And we can dig into the policies a bit. We can list the policy versions. And again, the AWS IAM lists policy versions at command, and then we're specifying the policy that we want to look at. And in this case, we're using the RN of the resource, and all of that will give you this information here. It shows you all the versions of that policy that have existed, and we can see the latest policy is this version v3. And so issuing the command below, we can see that this policy in particular, this version 3 of this Amazon Guard Duty read-only access policy will give you what we have here. So any command that starts with describe, any command that starts with get, any command that starts with list inside of this guard duty context, we're allowed to do, and that is on any resource, because asterisk just means it's a wildcard, it means anything. And then we're also allowed to do these other commands for organization. So we can see the describe organizational unit, describe account, and all this other stuff for, again, all resources. So let's go down to the these policy versions of the dev01 policy. So we can see that the latest version is v7, and let's actually run that in our environment. So let's do the list policy versions for the dev01 policy, and we can see the latest version is v7. I guess it doesn't start from v1. I'm not sure exactly how that's formatted. Maybe it truncates or chops like the oldest ones off at the bottom here. I don't know, but we can see that the latest is v7. All right, so back to PwnedLabs, and if we go down a bit, getting the policy version of version 7 of the dev01 policy gives us this information here. So we're allowed to use these commands listed after the IAM. So get policy, get role, get policy version, and we're able to do that on these resources here. So we see this dev01, then we see backend dev role, we have a backend dev policy, and we have the dev01 policy. So we can actually enumerate a bit more than what we have attached to our user currently. So that's pretty interesting. And you can see we can map out the allowed actions as they apply to the various resources contained in the resource section of the JSON document. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so I am user dev01. We have this role backend dev. We can do all of these actions and so on and so forth. So let's look at the attached or the role backend dev, and we can list attached role policies. So we see we have this role policy, backend dev policy attached to this role, right? And we can enumerate these role and policy a bit further. So we're going to use the IAM get role name backend dev command, and let's just do that here. grant permissions to backend developers. And we can see that we're allowed, or this principal is allowed to use the assume role command or action against this role. So dev01 is allowed to assume role back in dev. So we know that we're in dev01, so that gives us a bit of options if we choose to pivot, and we will do just that. So let's go back into PwnedLabs again. So we're allowed, or dev01 is allowed to assume the backend dev role. And there's a policy attached to that role. The policy says that we're allowed, here's the command. Remember that backend dev policy that's attached to the role backend dev. This is the only version of the policy, and we're enumerating the policy version 1, the only policy here, right here in this command. And it says that we're allowed to describe instances for EC2, and we're allowed to list secrets for each secrets manager, and that's for all resources. And then, even more interestingly enough, we can describe instances and list secrets, but we can actually get secret values and describe secrets of this secret manager resource here, this customer's QUHPZF, whatever. And then on top of that, we have that inline policy from before, the inline policy S3 access. I believe we spoke about that. That one-off policy for S3 access, we're going to enumerate that down here. So there's a policy named S3 access. It allows the user dev01, which is attached to this S3 access policy, is attached to the user dev01, and it allows that user dev01 to list bucket for S3 and allows the user to get object for S3. And we're allowed to do those actions on these two resources here. This bucket HL dev artifacts, and then everything that is inside of that bucket as well. So it's more than just two, or potentially just be one. We'll see. But okay, finally at the end, we've done our enumeration of policies, permissions and whatnot, and we can kind of see the path or mapping of permissions for this user. It should say dev01 right here at this user far left. You can't see my cursor, unfortunately. But so the user, there's an AWS managed policy, access service for Amazon Guard Duty, customer managed policy, view policies for the backend dev role, and an attached policy to that role. Then we have the inline policy, which gives us S3 access, and that backend dev role and attached policy gives us access to the secrets manager's secret. So we're going to assume the backend dev role, and then we're going to list the secrets of the secrets manager, and then we're also going to get the flag from the S3 bucket here. So it says to get the flag and complete the lab, try following in the footsteps of the attacker and getting the flag.txt from the S3 bucket. And there's some further reading down at the bottom. So let's go ahead and let's get into our lab. And we are going to use the S3 API. Actually, there's multiple ways to skin a cat in AWS, which is pretty cool. Dang it. ls. Let's look at the ls command. So the ls command, just like Linux, it allows us to list S3 objects and common prefixes under a prefix or all S3 buckets. So we're going to scroll down here to the bottom, and then we see this command here that we can copy. And we have, we need our bucket name. I have to do it side by side. We need our bucket name to actually get stuff from the bucket, right? I guess I'm being lazy. I could just figure it out the hard way. Here it is. All right, so this resource, again, this resource, this S3 bucket is what we're after. We want to list the contents of it. So let's do AWS S3 ls, and then we're going to specify the resource that we want to run the command against. And look at that, we have 3 different files. We have this Android blah 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 file, we have this .jar, and then we have our flag. But how do we actually get the flag? So we're going to do AWS S3, and then we're going to do CP or copy, and then I think we can just rename it to like flag.text. Actually, let me do it like flag3, and let's see if that's actually on our machine now. Flag3.text. What am I doing? I don't think that's right syntax. Let's go to the command reference for CP. And we're going to scroll down here to the bottom. Here it is. Is that not what I just did? Oh, I'm so dumb. Flag.text. All right, now we can do cat flag 3.text, and there is our flag. And we can take this and we can enter it in up here, I believe, somewhere. So we can enter our flag. We'll save that for later. But let's go back into let's go back into our command line interface. All right, so what's next? So we got the flag. Now let's assume the role, the S3 or backend dev role, and then we are going to dump some secrets from the secret manager. So let's get more information about the backend dev role. AWS IAM, get role, and then we're specifying the role name, backend dev. Again, this user dev01 can assume role into backend dev. So let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to supply you guys with all the links and resources and documentation that I use to figure this room out. So let's do AWS STS assume role on backend dev. Role session name is our AWS CLI session. We're going to assume that role. Then we're going to use export. So, all right. So export AWS key ID, and then we're going to use the key ID. Then we're going to do the same thing for the secret access key. Oops. And we're going to replace this with the secret access key. I knew it was going to do that. And then we need the session token also here. This is the longest one. I don't know why I copied all of that. Just redo this one, I guess. And then we need this. We need the AWS session token. I'm sorry. And our session token. All right, now if we do the get caller identity command, we should see that we have assumed the role backend dev in our AWS CLI session. Perfect. All right. So now that we're in here, we have assumed the backend dev role. We know that we have access to secrets manager, and we have access to the list secrets command. We're going to use that here, list secrets manager, and we see we have access to one secret, and it is named prod customers. Cool. So let's again, we have the describes. Let's see, where is this at? I believe it's describe secrets. Looking for the policy, the backend dev policy. Here it is. So we have get secret value, and then we have describe secret permissions. So let's look at these two commands real quick. So describe secret retrieves the details of a secret. It does not include the encrypted secret value. Get secret value retrieves the contents of the encrypted field secret screen secret string or secret binary from the specified version of the secret, whichever contains content. So this is the command that we're looking for, this get secret value, so that we can actually get the encrypted secret from the secrets manager. All right, cool. I don't know why I'm moving that. All right, so yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. We're gonna list secrets, and then we are going to get the secret. Describe the secret first. So it's kind of the same info from doing list secrets. So let's do the get secret value. Again, get secret value is the command that we're allowed to run via the assumed role backend dev. We can see the secret string, username, root, password, dbadmin12345, and the port, the host, all this stuff. And that's pretty much it. We've did IAM enumeration of policies, roles, the user. We figured out what those things actually mean in the context of AWS, and then we did some enumeration on our own using some of the guidance from PwnedLabs, and then we dumped secrets. I mean, I don't know what else you could ask for, honestly. This was a really great walkthrough, a room from PwnedLabs, and I'm so glad I came across this platform, because this is awesome. I highly recommend that you get on this platform while you can, while it's free, and you take advantage of everything that you can learn from the content here, because this is awesome. But let's go ahead and submit our flag. Dang it did the same thing last time. That's the right flag. It's just doing some stupid stuff. Flag already submitted, so you can see that's the right flag. But yeah, that's it for the room, and I am looking forward to doing more cloud content. I'll have some special stuff coming up. But yeah, I appreciate it. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment, and we appreciate you. Stay blessed, and we will see you on the next video. See ya.